Do not watch today's video if you have a strong opinion about trauma, psychotherapy, stories, the things that happened to you in the past. Don't watch today's video because it could possibly piss you off or piss off your ego or activate your pain body. Just don't do it. Don't do it because we're going to explore whether trauma is real or not, and if psychotherapy might do more to keep you stuck than actually help you at all. Yes, before we start this video, I'd like to remind everybody that I am a shaman. It's called the Shaman Patrick Show. I have been in and out of the mental health system for most of my life. I'm going to get in a little bit about my story in this episode, but I do want to warn you, if you have a strong opinion about all of this, this might piss you off. But if you're starting to suspect that something ain't right, if the door is open just a crack, stick around. I think you're going to find this to be a transformative episode today, and I'll probably save you $8,888. Yes, you get great value while listening to the Shaman Patrick Show. So let's go.
He was once a storm in human form, sharp tongue, cold soul, heart worn and torn, living like a ghost who missed his grave till the spirit sang out and called him brave. He got rewired by the great unknown, heard the call like a dial tone to the bone. So pull up a chair, enjoy the glow. This is the Shaman Patrick Show.
I was taken to a therapist when I was 8 years old. My parents took me there, and as if something was wrong with me. I would not discover until 30 years later, 30 years after being in therapy, that my parents were the crazy ones. My dad was an alcoholic. My mother was a pill-popping narcissist. I was in therapy my whole fucking life because of their fucking shit. True story. I did not realize that until I attempted to get sober the first time. An addictionologist tried to tell me, there is nothing wrong with you. You're having a normal emotional reaction to the insanity all around you. Your parents screwed you up. You've got to get away from these people. You can't have a relationship with people who are that sick. I didn't listen. I encouraged them to go get therapy. And then the real sick shit started. So when people tell me, Patrick, you just don't understand. You don't understand any of this. I do. And I'll make a bold claim because I have not been indoctrinated by the system. Here's a little something for you. I'm going to theorize that when you apply for a student loan and you get a student loan and you're beholden to pay this student loan back, and you go into the system and you get a college degree and then you graduate, and then let's say you get a psychology degree, and you get in there and you start to realize this shit is whack. Well, you can't say a damn thing because you still have to pay those student loans. You have to go along to get along. You have to go along with a lot of crap. I myself have worked in rehabs where you have to enter in these notes, and the notes have to say a certain thing and all of that. I'm telling you, it's a little rotten. It's a little rotten. Did you know that when you go to a psychiatrist, you have to be diagnosed with something? Because they won't be able to bill insurance unless you're diagnosed with something. And the vast majority of mental health diagnoses are incorrect the first go round, possibly the second go round, the third go round. I myself was misdiagnosed with depression. And then I was misdiagnosed with a host of other things. And it turns out my parents were just crazy. That's it. I can't tell you how many millions of dollars were spent in my lifetime trying to prove that something was wrong with me. And it turns out I was just an alcoholic. Nothing changed for me until I got down on my hands and knees and I begged God for help. 2018, March 25th, 2018, after experiencing a home invasion in my apartment. I can't believe I survived that night, but I survived that night. And I figured that if I survived that night, okay, God, I'm willing to admit I might be a shaman. Okay? I give up. I give up. I guess I'm a shaman, okay? And I promise I will do whatever it takes. I will be in service to you, God. Yes, I will get sober. I will do my work, because spirits have been trying to kill me for months. The last time I drank, my spirit guide said, "We'll just fucking kill you if you don't get sober." And through the Shaman Patrick show, you're going to hear little bits of my story just peppered in there as evidence that, yes, I do know what I'm talking about in this regard. Now, I would never practice psychology. I don't have a college degree in it, but there are those of us out there who have been in the system long enough. We probably should get honorary degrees. We should, because we see the rot. We've seen the therapist falling asleep. We've seen the bullshit. And the only thing that ever really helped me in therapy was getting to the point of acceptance that my parents were crazy. I had to get outside opinions all the time. I was in therapy. Probably the last few years I was in therapy, it was wrapping my head around the fact that my parents might be crazy. That was it. My parents are dead now. But even if they were still alive, I would probably say, you people are nuts. They should have been locked up the whole time. I ended up in a mental institution. And when I was in that mental institution, they made no efforts to get me out of there. They were like, good, he's locked up. He can't reveal our secrets. I've healed a lot over that. It was very traumatic for me for quite some time. I'm no longer stuck in the story. I'm so grateful for the wisdom that I have now. I'm just like, yes, I've got this wisdom. It didn't come free. It didn't come easy, and it didn't come cheap. Now instead of that millions of dollars, and I'm including insurance, I'm also including government contributions, taxpayers. Hey, taxpayers out there, yeah, you contributed to proving something was wrong with me, and it turned out there wasn't. All that money lost, all that time gone, but was it truly gone? No, because I know what I know now. I know exactly what I fucking know now, and it was expensive. It was more expensive than a college degree. It was more expensive than that. But I'm not the only one who can see through this kind of thing. Trauma may indeed be a lie. And I know this because when I started waking up to the idea that, most of the trauma was a story. It was a story. If I could just forget the story. I mean, that's why I did drugs for so long, for so many years, because when you're drunk and you're high, you can forget the story. Well, you don't have to do drugs or get high or drink to forget the story. You can actually just forget the story. There's techniques like eye movement desensitization therapy. And then there's active resolution therapy, where they wave a wand in front of your face. It works like magic. Takes those memories away. Eternal sunshine of the spotless mind. How is that possible? If the trauma is real, how can they erase it away like that? You see, you might want to argue with me and say, well, Patrick, you don't understand. Do you want to swap horror stories of abuse, trauma, assault? Do you want to swap those stories? No, I don't think you do. It's a race to the bottom. Who could be more victimized than me? Because see, when the ego fuses with that victim identity, it's impenetrable. It is impenetrable. You can't break through that shit. You can't break through it at all. I've had people get so mad at me for suggesting that their past may not have that big of an influence on them if they want. Hey, a victim story is a wonderful excuse why your life is not the way that it is, or the way that you want it to be. So today we're going to watch a video from Marina Karlova. And I love no bullshit ladies like this. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love you, Marina. This came across my feed on YouTube when I was at the gym, and I was like, okay, let's work out and listen to Marina. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn it over to her, and we're gonna react to this video. And the video is titled "Trauma is a Lie and Therapy Just Keeps You Stuck." And what else was that? I was gonna say something. Merrick's mowing the grass, so I I heard something hit the house. I hope it was a ghost. I hope it was a ghost. But I'm also going to include a link to the video in the description. And she's got a lot of great content on her channel, so check it out. All right, let's go.
Trauma. The word carries weight, sounds personal and unique, like something that belongs specifically to you. The therapeutic industry tells you it's something broken inside that needs healing, processing, or integration. Therapists, coaches, self help gurus want to help you find your inner child, or authentic self, or whatever else supposedly needs excavating. I bought into this for years and did all the work, the digging, crying, journaling, meditations, trying to fix what they told me was broken. But the trauma didn't vanish. It just shapeshifted like trying to patch a hole in a bucket that's actually part of a larger systemic leak. You patch one spot, another appears, or the old one starts dripping again. If you think I have no idea what I'm talking about, you're wrong. I spent
Honey, I believe that you know what you're talking about. I totally I get it, because you say it straight up. There is something wrong in the system, and if you speak up about it, you get labeled as if you don't know what you're talking about. Look, I've got two eyes, I've got two ears. I can see what's going on. When I got put in that mental institution, I remember I was addicted to benzos, and I remember the nurse. I was like, I need an Ativan. I need an Ativan. I need an Ativan. Like, and how I got there, I'm not going to get into it. But once I was in that mental institution, I remember the nurse looking at me and saying, "You're in the system now. We got you. You're going to be okay." And I didn't realize what that meant. Because I thought I would be in there for a little while. I thought I would be in there for like a couple weeks to a month. Like it was just like a psych ward. And when they showed me my room, it was a room with 3 other beds. And I sat down on my bed, and then this one guy came in, and I said, "Hello, what's your name?" He said, "My name's Frank. I'm Patrick." And I sat down on the bed, and we were just talking about stuff. And we were talking, and I said, "Well, I'm not going to be here that long. How long have you been here?" And he said, 13 years. And I was like, "Oh, fuck. I'm not getting out. I'm not getting out of this easily." So those of us who've been in that system, yes. And if we've gotten out of it, yes, we know what we're talking about.
a massive amount of money on therapy, went through more than a dozen therapists. Some of them held back tears when they heard my story.
A dozen? You only had a dozen therapists? This could be a pissing contest, Marina. I can't even count the number of therapists that I saw, that I have encountered in my life, because I was under the delusion that I was depressed. I was under the delusion that there was something wrong with me. Little did I know that my parents were manipulating, sabotaging, causing me all sorts of trouble behind the scenes. Sick people, yo.
I had depression and chronic anxiety for most of my life. Couldn't stand up for myself, kept getting into toxic relationships, and genuinely believed I was hopelessly broken. Here's what I finally understood. Modern psychology tells us a trauma is a wound on the psyche, that the soul can be broken, that childhood events damage you so you will never be the same. This is a lie. I am not talking about immediate psychological responses to extreme events like war or assault.
Yeah, this is the distinction, because when we talk about trauma, it's kind of this big glob of stuff. There are a lot of therapists out there who have authored these gigantic labyrinthine programs of how to work through trauma, and they're invested in it. There's a lot of therapists out there who are invested heavily into trauma being real. But what I learned is it could be over just like that if you want it to be. If you truly want it to be, it could be over like that. And kind of free as well. But it does require, I think it requires a therapist willing to guide you into that and set you free. Luckily for me, I had some really good therapists toward the end. Therapists who were conscious and aware enough to say, this, what happened? Are you okay? Okay, I gotta go. Merrick has that issue. I'll be right back.
Okay.
My husband is very dramatic. My husband is very dramatic, and come. Hi.
Hi.
And he spilled some water.
Yeah.
What have you got all over you?
Water.
Water?
Yeah, it's water.
Here, let's see you in the camera. There we go. He's mowing grass.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I
But
am.
he's very dramatic because whenever he goes, oh, you just never know. It could be a real tragedy. It could be something minor. And this time it was
This is true.
spilled water.
This is true.
All right. Thank
All right.
you. Mwah. We're talking about trauma not being real. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
All right. I love you, babe.
Love you.
All right. Okay. Back to Marina.
Those are real nervous system reactions. I'm talking about what they call childhood trauma or complex PTSD, the kind of damage supposedly done by abuse, criticism, neglect, emotional manipulations. The everyday wounds that supposedly shape who we are. The concept of trauma as a psychological wound is not an objective truth, but a constructed narrative that emerged from 19th century neurology, was legitimized through military psychiatry, and later absorbed into psychoanalytic and therapeutic frameworks to individualize systemic harm.
Okay, I kind of tuned out there, but I do want to say that it's like psychology and psychotherapy have roots about 100 years ago. I mean, surely there's new stuff, and there is new stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people who have rejected that stuff. Like when you become a therapist, you can kind of you can kind of write your own stuff, kind of do your own thing. So it's important that you get with a really good therapist who's going to be able to go beyond what they're taught in school. Somebody I knew was dating this girl, and she was getting her master's degree. She didn't know who Carl Jung was. She didn't know who Carl Jung was, and she was like, how are you guys able to do the shadow work deck? What are your credentials? What are your credentials? What are your credentials? How do you know this stuff? And it's really mysterious to people who just go to school. They don't have any real world experience. They have a limited life experience. They don't understand that other people could actually understand this stuff, not just from reading it in books, but actually experiencing it and working through it on their own. And, the childhood trauma, this is what I discovered. If you don't have anybody in your life abusing you, gaslighting you, manipulating you, sabotaging you, the trauma just goes away. Like as soon as I learned to set boundaries, I was no longer traumatized. I was able to forget that stuff. Like it's very difficult to have somebody in your life who's lying to you and manipulating you and gossiping about you behind your back and treating you all sorts in some sort of way. You know, when I was drinking, I didn't really pay that much attention to the way people treated me. But when I moved back home and I was around my family again, they were awful to me. They would insult me to my face. They would make fun of me to my face. And I was like, did they always do this? Did they always treat me this poorly? Did they always question everything I said? Did they always lie to me? Like, I'll give you an example. My aunt told me, like, your father just calls you all the time. You just don't pick up the phone. And I'm like, I have caller ID now. That might have worked 20 years ago, but there's caller ID now. And I showed her my phone. I said, look, he never calls me. Now, I don't care what he tells you, he never calls me. And she looked at it and she goes, well, you know, you really should pick up the phone when he calls. I'm like, you people are fucking nuts. No wonder I ended up in a mental institution. That's just one thing. And if you pile event after event after event after event like that, life gets very weird. You get psychotic with that kind of shit, with people just piling lies on. You know, every lie that they told was to make me feel like a horrible person, like I had done something wrong. I lived and I grew up with the perpetual understanding that I was a bad person. I was stupid. I wasn't talented. I wasn't smart. Something was wrong with me. Nobody else in my family had to go to therapy. Not a one. Not my sister, who was addicted to meth, coke, God knows what. Not my other sister, who was eating herself into a 500-pound behemoth. They didn't go to therapy. No, me. I went to therapy. The skinny guy who wanted to go to film school, I was supposed to go to therapy. The one who got straight A's, the one who worked a full-time job in high school, I was the one that had to go to therapy. So you see, living in that environment where you think that something's wrong with you, it's very damaging to your self-esteem, to your confidence. And it's very difficult to get through when you have an entire family running interference for each other to make you think that you're the sick one. You're the sick one. You're the sick one. No, I wasn't the sick one. I know this now after millions of dollars and years of therapy. Patrick, you just don't understand. You just don't understand. You just don't get it. You just don't get it.
Began with Charcot's theatrical treatment of hysterical women and evolved through wartime attempts to preserve soldierly honor, eventually became a lucrative industry that pathologizes normal responses to abuse, repression, and alienation. By framing suffering as an internal dysfunction requiring endless healing, the trauma narrative diverts attention from the structural origins of pain and neutralizes resistance by making individuals responsible for their own oppression. It persists.
This is the thing that I realized, like when I was trying to get off medication, my aunt would say, you need to be on medication. You need to be on something. But I was like, why do I need to be on something that numbed me out? Like, thank God I woke up to all of this shit. Some people never do. Thank God Marina woke up to this shit. Most people don't. I mean, I've asked Merrick, who works in mental health. I said, what's the percentage of patients that you think are in the mental health system due to abuse by their families? A lot. 80%, because the system covers up for abusers. I know this to be true. There's been exposés on it. Candace Owens has done a big thing about it. It covers for abusers. You get caught up in that system. Like Marina said, you become a willing participant in your own oppression. Your normal reactions to insanity are pathologized. Your anxiety is like something. Now, do you know what anxiety is? Living in a house where your father yells at you for doing normal ass things, like waking up in the morning or getting a glass of water or anything like that. Do you know what it's like to be raised in a house like that? where you had to, like, we had to put, we were, let me give you an example. If we ate all of something, like we were never allowed to finish like cereal or milk. We always had to leave a little bit in for my dad. And so it created this weird thing where my sisters and I would start putting empty boxes back in the cabinet. So, in case we forgot that to not eat the last of the cereal or drink the last of the milk. And my father would fly into a rage and say, "Who ate all the goddamn cereal? All of it." And all of it, like we had eaten the entire box of cereal. So, of course I'm going to be anxious. Of course, like being raised in this environment where your father is so quick to anger and your mother enables it and runs interference for that shit. You're going to be fucked up. You're going to be really fucked up living in an environment like that. But my story is not unique. A lot of people have the same story. It's weird, and, if you go to a doctor and you say, "I'm depressed," a doctor is going to try to treat your depression, because if your abusers have done a really good job, you're not going to suspect them. You're not going to suspect that it's your mom or your dad or even your aunt contributing to your continued abuse and suffering. But the good news is that suffering breaks the ego. And once that ego breaks, you're able to see the truth. So suffer, bitch.
It's because it keeps people occupied within a paradigm that prevents them from seeing architecture of control, not because it reveals any truth. Your true self cannot be damaged because it's not material. It's not a social role or behavioral pattern, but the actual dynamics of consciousness, a living flow. How can you damage a river? You can force it to flow in a different channel, throw stones into it, dam it up, but the water remains water. Your true self is the same living entity. It can be redirected but not destroyed or damaged. What we call trauma is actually a program installation.
Now, I want to go a step further from the truth, like who you really are before the abuse, before the gaslighting, before the crazy making behavior, before the manipulation and the sabotage. Who are you when your finances are okay, when there's nobody sabotaging you or manipulating you or throwing you under the bus? Who are you? Very few people have met themselves like that, especially if you think you're depressed. If you think you're depressed, get the motherfuckers out of your life, and then you'll meet your true self. Learn how to set boundaries. Boundaries are very spiritual. The ego's conception of spirituality is that you should be able to put up with anything. That things should just not bother you. And I know Merrick's father thought this, and Merrick's father, I'm not going to get into that, but he thought that because I was spiritual, I should be able to go to work and put up with being harassed for being gay, being thrown under the bus by evangelical Christians, and being passed over for promotions in favor of bootlickers, and deal with Marxist agendas and stuff like that. No. Being spiritual means that you don't compromise your values and you don't go against what you believe to be true. Being spiritual means not putting up with cockamamie bullshit. But I think that since Merrick's father was a maestro of cockamamie bullshit, it really served him for us to believe that to be spiritual meant putting up with cockamamie bullshit. That's not being true to yourself. That's not your true self. And learning how to set boundaries. When you set boundaries, as painful as they are, as weird as they are, you eventually find that trauma just fucking disappears. Where does it go? You don't have anybody in your life abusing you, harassing you, calling you names, engaging in crazy making behavior. Where's the trauma then? that's 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 how it goes away in a snap. Now, I think a therapist can help you set those boundaries. A therapist can help you realize, why do you have these people in your life who drive you crazy, steal your money, make things difficult for you? And my family tried to get Merrick and I to split up. Why would I stick around for shit like that?
It's a moment when the system loads a controlling algorithm into consciousness through a vulnerability point. When your natural resonance with yourself breaks, creating a gap, anything can enter. Think of trauma as an open port in your system. When subjective continuity falters, foreign constructs that would normally be rejected can suddenly embed.
Like if somebody is manipulating you or controlling you, or we call it praise, praise, punch. Praise, praise, punch. And, it doesn't even have to be a physical punch, but a real sick, and I'm just going to call these people sick. They will praise you. They will praise you. Then they will do something fucked up. Then they will praise you. Then they will praise you. Then they will do something fucked up. So, the weight is always on the good stuff that they do. And sometimes they'll do praise, 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 punch. But it's designed to keep you off balance and to keep you confused and to keep you never realizing what the fuck is going on in your life. I don't know why people are controlling. It's such a difficult thing to do. It's there's so much energy to control people, but hurt people. I know that. I encourage people to go to therapy and get an outside opinion on all this stuff. If they really want, go to a therapist and ask them if what I'm talking about is true or not. No, Patrick, you just don't understand.
If in childhood you were beaten and humiliated, you begin perceiving the world as dangerous where you are nobody. But it's not your true self that changed. The system installed a fear program. If you were constantly criticized, you grow up feeling like a failure. But this isn't your real sense of worth. It's just loaded code. If you were abandoned or neglected, you might develop compulsive attachment patterns, but that's also just installed programming. What you think of as your trauma is actually an implanted algorithm running on repeat.
Isn't that nice to know? Isn't that nice to know? I love knowing that. It's just an algorithm. Trauma is just an algorithm. Thank you, Marina. We can do something about that. We can install a new algorithm, can't we? I'm going to equate it to this. The song that I'm going to play at the end of today's episode is called Stolen Gold. And the lyrics are about someone, maybe me, who was raised in a family that stole their gold, took everything away from them. And it's probably my story. But anyway, I do feel like it's stolen gold. Like when parents abuse their children and sabotage them, refuse to support them when they need them, I do think it feels like you're getting your gold stolen. But the gold is in there in the shadow. And through shadow work, you can actually install a new algorithm. The ego itself functions a lot like an algorithm. And I'd like to take this time to talk about the sponsor of the Shaman Patrick Show. It is this book, The Machinations of Ego. You can get it right now in our shop on concreteshamans.com. If you're ready to break free from drama, self-sabotage, and performative spirituality, this book will change your life. Get it, read it, wake the fuck up. But if you're programmed to worship the system, this book will not make sense to you. And in fact, somebody that I know who's heavily invested in stories of trauma and psychology and all of that kind of stuff, reached out to me to tell me, why did I write this book? Why did I write about a subject that has already been written about? And he's kind of he's kind of in this system, and there's no breaking free from it for him. And we wrote that book in a way to dislodge the ego, that essentially that algorithm that gets installed.
Post-trauma, you don't perceive yourself through your natural core resonance anymore. You perceive yourself through a repeating pattern of thoughts, images, sensations that feel like yours, but were installed during vulnerability. You don't recall the event. You replay the program. And here's the thing. All these programs are identical. Criticized as a child, you'll develop feelings of worthlessness. Ignored, fear of abandonment. Controlled, inability to stand up for yourself. It's like a virus that produces the same symptoms regardless of the host. If trauma were real personal damage, the responses would be unique and unpredictable. But they're not. They follow the exact same patterns, like standardized code running the same operations.
This is so brilliant, and thank you, Marina, for saying this, because here's what I learned with doing shadow work and helping other people with shadow work. We're all pretty much the same underneath at base. And she says it brilliantly. Thank you for being so clear about it. But like she said, if you're criticized as a child, you'll develop feelings of what did she say? Worthlessness. If you are controlled, you'll have a hard time sticking up for yourself. So you just trace it back. Just trace it back. If you have a hard time sticking up for yourself, it's because you were controlled or somebody is controlling you. There you go. Happy birthday. Easy to fix, right? Work backwards. Sometimes in concrete shamanism, we'll encourage people to work backwards from an emotion. This might be a revelation for many of you. And it's simply about installing new software, installing new code, installing a new algorithm. I've found working on ego issues does exactly that. There's a chapter in our book that talks about anxiety. Anxiety comes from the ego. The ego is scared. Well, the ego is built in you in childhood. Your ego is comprised of your parents' thoughts, beliefs, and opinions. And as an adult, you have to create a new ego for yourself based in reality, based in base reality, who you are, who's your true self. Marina, you have saved people thousands and thousands of dollars in therapy just by saying that one thing. It's not some, I don't know why I can't stand up for myself. It's because somebody controlled you and you keep looking and seeking out other people to control you. And that's why you have a hard time sticking up for yourself, because it's hard. It's difficult to stand up for yourself when you're being controlled, because controlling people don't want you sticking up for yourself. I mean, I was raised to go along with whatever crazy ass bullshit my mom or dad were up to, whatever rage they had going on. They felt bad about themselves and their lives, and they took it out on their kids. My family was so dysfunctional. Like Marina, I would tell therapists stories and they would cry. They would cry. I've had many therapists say that the family I came from was one of the worst cases of dysfunction that they had ever heard, precisely because it was so insidious. It was so baked in, not just to the nuclear family unit, but the entire extended family. The entire extended family acted like a hive mind to protect this dysfunction. It looks really good. They're all clean. They all have nice homes. And as long as you go along with the story, you'll have a nice home too. But if you start to stick up for yourself, you will be thrust into poverty. You will be cast out and exiled. But as long as you go along with all the bullshit, you will be well taken care of in that family. Same with Merrick's family. You'll be well taken care of if you go along with the bullshit. But if you stand up for yourself, you will probably be financially ruined, sabotaged. You will be cast out, alienated. And so It's a very difficult thing to get out of. It's like a Coyote Ugly situation. You got to chew your own arm off just to get out from underneath it. It's no child should have to decide between their true self and their family of origin. That's a very disgusting and sick thing that you have to do. But at some point, there's no other way. Do you want to die or do you want to live? It's a life or death situation for many people. And if you knew how easy it was to just flip that switch, install new programming, install the algorithm. I mean, I know now I make it sound easy, and I make it sound like it was no big deal. Extracting myself from all of those tendrils from that extended family was the most difficult fucking thing I ever did. It was a mind fuck of the highest order, designed to drive you crazy, because I realized that the only thing they want for me is my total utter degradation. They want me crawling back to them. I'm not going to tell you some of the shit they pulled. It's kind of funny now. But at the same time, when you know that that's what they want, your total utter degradation, and they want you come crawling back to them. I mean, shit. I can't believe I got out of it. I can't believe anybody gets out of this shit because they get you when you're young and you grow up in this environment. You can't stick up for yourself. You think you're worthless. They tell you you'll never make money, that you'll always be poor. How does anybody get out of this? How does anybody survive it? I don't know.
Even psychology books catalog these predictable sequences, which proves we're looking at systematic programming, not individual wounds. The longer this runs, the stronger the illusion that this is me. The trauma-triggered script self-replicates because the parasite has made its structure the only one that feels alive. You repeat because no other resonance is accessible anymore. This is why years of trauma work keeps people stuck. They are treating the implanted algorithm as sacred, missing that the altar got swapped. They think they can work through anxiety, then work on feeling worthless, then childhood trauma, then attachment issues or compulsive people pleasing. But all these are inseparable parts of one program. You can't remove one element because the system immediately builds a new one in its place. It's like having a virus on your computer and trying to delete files one by one without touching the code that launches it.
What I had to do, there's something up. Look at this. There we go. What I had to do last October, like I had reached my limit of the shit from my family and Merrick's family, and I realized I gotta be in a hermit mode because it's a life or death situation for me. Like my IBS was so bad I couldn't do it. I had to quit my job. And it ended up my car got repossessed. Like they don't want what's best for me at all. So I had to go into a hermit mode. I had to get really sorted out on what was really going on with me. Because, like Merrick's dad would say, Patrick, you're very creative and talented, but you need to work a minimum wage job at Raw Stress for Less. Don't do YouTube. You will fail at YouTube. But you're very creative and talented. You see the mindfuck that's going on there? Oh my God. So you can't be around that shit when you're trying to deprogram. It does feel like you're deprogramming from a cult. And when you're from a dysfunctional family, you are in a cult. You are in a cult. It's very hard to get out of. It's very like treat, if you come from a family like this, maybe treat it like you're leaving a cult, but don't get into another cult. Don't go over to Twin Flames Universe. Don't buy an Aubrey Marcus program. I'd like to remind everybody right now that we do have a cult-free guarantee. You can support our work with confidence, knowing that we will never start a cult here. The only thing we want to do is have fun, make music, talk about shamanism stuff, and be of service. If you would like to support the work we do, please like and subscribe, comment, or use an emoji if you've got nothing to say. Share this content with others. Thank you for watching and growing with us. But a hermit mode can really set you up. Like, I know who I am now. That now more than ever. I'm lucky that I have a husband that is going to work and will support us while I'm going through this hermit mode. He loves me. I'd never been in love before until I met my husband. It's a miracle because kids from families like we are, we don't end up together. Usually we end up with a narcissist or somebody else that's going to control us. But we have really cool spirit guides that matched us up together because I know that if Merrick was on his own, he would be dead. And I know that if I was on my own, I would be dead. Our families wouldn't tolerate us being happy and healthy and successful. The dysfunction in it, the rot in the dysfunctional family would not tolerate it. Somebody would have to die. It's that bad. It's that fucking bad.
The system will restart the virus. You got rid of fear of poverty? Here's the fear of loneliness. Removed guilt? Welcome to the fear of judgment. As long as the main mechanism works, it can rebuild endlessly. The system loves this because if you're busy constantly processing the same wound, you're not seeing what actually happened, the installation of control code through your moment of vulnerability. People processing the same trauma for years stay stuck because they treat it as authenticity's proof, missing the swapped altar. My own traumas didn't get processed. They just dissolved when I finally saw them for what they were.
Isn't that good to know? That's kind of how it happened with me. It just dissolved. A lot of it dissolved through this hermit mode that I've been on since in October. A lot of it dissolved. My family just leaves me alone because they know that I know that they know that I know that they know that I know that they know that I know the jig is up. The whole fucking game got exposed. And they don't want anything to do with me because I might say the truth. But Merrick's family, they wanted to stay in contact with him just to see if he was doing better and do things to make it worse. I've lived with my husband for long enough to know that whenever he gets a phone call from a family member, that code gets reignited. It gets reaffirmed. It's sick shit. It's sick shit. Eventually you just have to kind of go no contact with people so you can get a sense of yourself. You can get a sense of who you really are, because unless you go through this deprogramming or dissolving, you'll never know. Because if you have a fear of poverty, you can take care of that fear of poverty, but then a fear of loneliness crops up. Oh my God, it's a miracle. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. It's a miracle anybody gets through it. Marina, congratulations, girl. You are doing really good work on this YouTube channel. You are, for real. I want to give you a big old hug.
Not authentic expressions of my core, but outdated signals from an irrelevant layer. The intensity of trauma doesn't make it true. Its duration doesn't make it vital. It only shows where a breach occurred and how long the parasite held control. There's actually a biological reason why these programs stick so hard. Scientists have discovered that certain brain cells called astrocytes basically act like your brain's system administrators. They filter which mental pathways stay strong and which ones get weaker. The problem is they prioritize whatever you use most, not what's actually good for you. So if you've been running fear and self-doubt for years, that's the infrastructure they keep reinforcing. It's like having a road crew that only fixes the roads you drive on most, even if those roads lead nowhere good.
That's why I tell people to not watch narcissist videos too much. Like just stop watching them for a while, because you can get really focused and obsessed with narcissists and narcissist videos. Lord knows I have. But at some point you cannot watch that stuff anymore, because all it does is it reaffirms that story that you were narcissistically abused. Set the boundaries with the narcissist in your life. Walk away, move on. It's going to be okay. They may have convinced you that you can't live without them, but you can. You can. You can.
But here's what I discovered from my own experience. If you give these astrocytes a more coherent, logically consistent paradigm to work with, they can completely restructure themselves and stop reproducing the glitchy viral code. They're not actually loyal to the trauma program. They just maintain whatever system seems most stable. Show them something that makes more sense, and they'll rebuild the whole network. That's why you can.
Oh my God. So this book is brilliant then, because it does. Oh my gosh. Oh, and I just opened to this part here. The ego and narcissism. It says, if you stay in the loop of victimhood endlessly pointing at narcissists, obsessing over red flags, and diagnosing every difficult person in your life, you're still in the ego game. You are just wearing the mask of the woke empath instead of the evil narc. Let's strip it all the way down. A narcissist is someone who's possessed by ego. So is the empath who believes they are spiritually superior because of how much they feel. So is the coach who profits off of pain without ever addressing their own. So is the ex who healed just enough to post about it, but not enough to stop blaming. It's all ego. And until we deal with the ego underneath the label, we're just playing dress up with dysfunction. Thank you. I'm going to call that book brilliant. It really did help us. But for me, the ego framework made sense. It made sense that there was this outdated program that was placed on humanity, the collective ego, the same thing. So yeah, if you can find something else that makes sense to you, then those, were they phagocytes? Astrocytes? Well, anyway, those brain cells. What's a phagocyte? No, that's a phagocyte. Okay. But if you could find something that makes more sense to you than the crazy ass system that you're leaving or the crazy ass algorithm and start working on that, that's why it's such a good idea to work on your ego issues. You're installing new software. There we go. That's what we've been saying for a long time. Thank you, Marina.
Can't remove the program piece by piece. You're either in it or not. Awareness of the system cannot be gradual. It's always abrupt. Until you see it, you're inside. Once you've seen it, there's no way back.
That's that enlightenment without consent, that rapid spiritual awakening. When you see it, it has to be abrupt. When that suffering breaks, when you've suffered enough and that ego finally breaks, and it's abrupt. Oh my gosh.
The moment you see the entire system for what it is, it loses its power over you. The program can only function while it remains invisible. Once fully exposed, it simply stops running. The task isn't to heal pain, but to restore your pre-implant configuration. It's reclaiming a state where you weren't foreign code's object. You're not the one who remembers trauma. You're the one who can start resonating naturally again. When the program disappears, you return to yourself. You don't become different, you just stop being controlled. And at this moment, you realize you were never broken. Nothing was stolen.
Nothing was stolen. Nothing was stolen. Let's just listen to that just for a second. So trauma being a lie means that it's just a story, it's just an algorithm, it's just code that might have served you or served somebody else in your life for a while, and now it no longer serves you, if it ever did. So all you got to do is install new code. That's why it's so hard to get through to people. Like I've worked with so many people in their first week, 30 days of recovery. And so few people recover because they've got this fucking code going on. And that, like, I can't force anybody to get sober. I can't force anybody to change. You just, in recovery, we just kind of have to wait until that ego breaks. That's pretty much just keep them alive until that ego breaks. And so that we can install new software. That's why the 12 steps work so well, because they dismantle that old ego and they install a better way of living life. Many people might disagree with that, but the 12-step program teaches you how to grow up, how to be a better person. Don't be mean to people. Don't lie to people. Just be a better person. I mean, addicts and alcoholics, we need to be taught how to be better people. Our parents didn't do it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have turned out to be alcoholics or addicts. Nobody becomes an alcoholic or an addict in a vacuum. Most alcoholics come from extremely fucked up families. But those families often don't want to get treatment as well. They get real itchy when you sober up. This is a sad thing. The reason that people relapse is because of their family. 98% of the time, families do not really want their loved ones to get sober. They really don't, because when that person gets sober, the whole family gets exposed for being sick. Families can't take that.
You have always been yourself. You just didn't know it. Your true self cannot be destroyed. It can only be entangled in foreign programs. And if these programs no longer work, all that remains is you. If this seems too simple, well, that's usually how it is.
It is it's very simple. It's very simple when you get right down to it. You don't have to endlessly heal from stuff. You just have to become knowledgeable about how all of it works, and it dissolves on its own. Same thing with the pain body.
That's what I call a dialectical deconstruction of hegemonic paradigmatic frameworks through post-structuralist methodological triangulation.
That's some word salad I can get behind, honey. All right. So I love knowing that trauma is a lie and that all I have to do is install new software. But I have such good spirit guides who train me, by the way. My spirit guides would put me through a series of life events, and then I would have to figure out what to do. I would have to claw my way through various different events, and that's how we got here today. All she did was basically reaffirm everything that I suspected and things that I was doing already anyway. But she was able to tell it in 11 minutes. But I don't think many people who have bought into this trauma narrative, I don't think they would be able to hear it. And in fact, they probably didn't make it to the end of this video. So if you did make it to the end of this video, I'd like to thank you for watching this episode with me and watching this video with Marina. Please go to her channel, bookmark that video, and watch it whenever you feel like you're not going to make it through this particular part. Watch it. Understand. It's just the algorithm. You're having a normal emotional reaction to the insanity all around you. So today's song that we're going to play was made with AI, and the lyrics were written by myself and with the assistance of ChatGPT, and the music was done by Suno. It's a rock song, and it's fun to work out to. I work out to it sometimes. But check back tomorrow. We're going to have another all new episode of the Shaman Patrick Show. You have a wonderful day and happy healing. Mwah.
You clapped when I rose, smiled through your teeth, told me I'm chosen while you sharpen the heat. Put your name in my prayers, gave you a front row seat. Didn't know I was feeding the one who'd bleed me. You lit my candle just to watch it burn. Whispered I'm proud while praying. told the world you built me like I was your design. Took my words, bent the lines, then called them mine. I was too blind, too kind, didn't see the decay. But the mask always slips in the light of day. You smiled at my storm, called it growing pain. Fed me poison disguised as champagne. But your shadow's twitching, the truth's getting old, and I'm taking back my gold. You stole my gold, thought I wouldn't know, but I tracked your footprints in the undertow. Played the part, played the crowd, played it bold, but I remember you stole my gold. You stole my gold. I built this empire from the ash and bone. I bled for this light you tried to own. Your hands are dirty, but I walk clean. You were never on my team. No more soft words, no more disguise. No more room for your crocodile cries. I see you now in your counterfeit glow, and I want you to know you stole my gold, but you didn't win. I rose like a phoenix from the mess you left me in. Played me sweet, played me slow, now you fold. 'Cause I remember you stole my gold. But I got it back, every ounce you left, and I shine harder now without you dragging me down.
It's getting pretty old.